Hello, I'm Dr. Gary Jansen. I'm the principal at Crestview Middle School. I wanted to share transition information with our incoming sixth graders. We originally had a transition night scheduled in January, but poor weather canceled that. We were looking at a date for rescheduling, and then unfortunately schools got closed. So I still wanted to make sure that we shared all the necessary information with our incoming families in the best format that we could. So welcome to Crestview Middle School. We're excited to have you to join our classes next school year, and we look forward to seeing your faces actually walking into our school building. So I just want to share some information that may be relevant to both parents and students as I go through this presentation. So first, want to make sure that you understand that we are a Leader in Me school. We will follow the 7 habits. I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. We have a strong academic focus, but we also make sure that we're taking care of the entire child. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of them socially, emotionally, intellectually. But we also know that academics is a big piece of that as well. So parents want to make sure that you are staying connected with us. You can follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. All of those information is loaded here on the slide. Mr. Walls will be the 6th grade assistant principal, and there is his Twitter information as well. It's just a great way to get daily updates of things that are happening with your son or daughter. Typically, we'd have our parent organization talk about this, but just want you to know that it is important to stay involved. I know many parents are involved quite a bit in an elementary school, and then they feel like their students don't need them once they reach middle school, and that's the furthest from the truth. So we would really love for you to be involved. We have a list of opportunities and ways that you can get involved on our CPO page on the Crestview website, so you can check that out. They always have a part in my weekly emails that come out on Thursday, so you can learn some more information about our CPO in there as well. Our mission for our school is that we cultivate interdependent learners through high expectations, which means we expect all of our students to reach high standards, but we also expect them that they work together collaboratively in making sure that that happens. Our vision is our serving, learning, and leading. And throughout the year, we expect our students to do all 3 of those things. Obviously, learning takes place in a classroom on a daily basis. We expect our students to take ownership and step up and take leadership roles in our school. Some of that may be in classroom settings, and some of it may be leading assemblies, but we put our students in charge and expect them to do the leading. And then sometime throughout the year, we'll expect that they will participate in some sort of service, and that may be on school campuses or helping out in your community. As I mentioned before, we do follow the 7 habits. Our students will get a refresher on that in 6th grade, and we'll talk about that throughout the year. But our biggest piece that we strive for our students to understand is that they take on the responsibility of being good leaders, and that throughout the year, we'll ask them to set personal goals, track them on a monthly basis with their mentor teacher, and that they'll track literacy goals. Our students will be expected to read a lot, and their language arts teachers will work with them to set appropriate literacy goals. Like I mentioned before, it's important for our parents to be involved. Ways that you can do that also, besides just being part of our parent organization, is chaperoning a field trip or just volunteering to help in the school in any way. It could be working in the library or making copies or lots of other things that could come up throughout the year, but it's important to stay engaged with us in the school community. And it's also great that your students see that you're also taking on some leadership and that you're serving your community and our school as well. I'm going to introduce some of our 6th graders. They prepared their presentation, so I'm going to transfer this and let them share information about each of our core classes.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm going to share information with you about what language arts class will look like next year in middle school. Language arts will be based in 4 different areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Students will be expected to read several novels, write a narrative, an argumentative, and an informative paper. Students will also work on vocabulary and grammar. They will begin to research different topics and practice study skills. It is important for parents to make sure their children read at least 30 minutes per night. Parents should check their child's leadership notebook and Infinite Campus, but at the same time, parents should encourage their students to become independent learners. Some advice I have for all of you is that if there's a board on the outside of your teacher's door, check it every day and make sure you have everything you need for class. And our language arts teachers are Mr. Mueller, Mrs. Title, Mrs. Herrick, Mr. Dotson, Mrs. Inmardino, and Mrs. Duver. I hope everyone has an amazing time in their new language arts class.
Hi, fifth graders. My name is Connor Gleason, and I am proud to have the honor of talking about sixth grade life science. During science class, students will explore the relationships of living things in an ecosystem and learn about matter and energy. We learned about the structure, function, and processes within cells and various life functions of organisms. Along with this, we learned how different organisms adapt to their environments. Students will have frequent opportunities to utilize microscopes and participate in hands-on experiments. They will also do field studies, including one as a fishing field trip. They will also investigate plants and animals and do outdoor learning, including a 4-day, 3-night camp experience in Babbler State Park. The sixth grade science teachers include Mrs. Betts in Silverhall, Mr. Polster in Blue Hall, and Miss Kavanaugh in Gold Hall. My favorite part of science is the cells unit, where we learn about plant and animal cells and how they function. I like this unit because it is so fascinating, and at one point, we actually get to look at cells under a microscope. I'd never done that before, so it was really cool. I hope you all look forward to sixth grade life science. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Logan Rhodes, and I'm going to speak with you about Math 6. Students in Math 6 class will spend a lot of time on number sense, theory, and numerical operations. We understand the ins and outs of fractions and some geometry. Proportional relationships, including rates and ratios, will be included. We have learned variables, expressions, and equations. We will begin to think statistically, even as sixth graders. My favorite thing about Math 6 is the teachers introduce fun games to help us learn. If I could offer one helpful piece of advice, it would be to pay attention in class. If you do not, you may miss key concepts and not understand the lesson being taught. The math teachers are Mrs. Monton, Mr. Snyder, and Mrs. Wassell.
Hi, I'm Libby Van Bergen, and I'm going to be speaking to you about two content areas, history and PE. The focus of our history class will be around world history. We start with learning about early humans and the Stone Age. We then explore several civilizations, including Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, India, Greece, and Rome. We evolve in learning about the Middle Ages in Europe, along with ancient Africa. We learn a great deal about the societies like the Mayas, Incas, and Aztecs. A lot of work is completed through Google Classroom. My favorite part of history is we do many fun hands-on activities, followed by fun worksheets. I recognize that history is very fun, but fair. My advice for history is, and you've probably heard this before, but always be prepared. Bringing the correct materials for a class is the best thing you could do for the teacher. Additionally, it's a whole lot easier than running to your locker and back. The history teachers at CMS are Mr. Coppinger, Mrs. Huster, and Mrs. Stoll. During physical education, we learn to play various team sports, besides learning new games and enhancing some skills in familiar games. We also learn vital life skills such as collaboration, teamwork, and communication. There are several health topics that we learn as well, including hygiene, nutrition, our body systems, and the harmful ways that tobacco, and vapor can impact our body. Students will have PE every other day. We do wear PE uniforms, which can be purchased online before school begins or during class the first days of school. My favorite part about PE is the activities we learn to do. We always have fun while working out. Another part that I like about PE is the workout room. I enjoy running on the treadmills and cycling on the bikes. I always look forward to the runs in the summer and spring. My advice for PE is always bring your uniform. It's much more comfortable than regular clothes. Also, remember to clean your uniform at least once every week or during the weekend. The 6th grade PE teachers are Mr. Metter and Mrs. Marquardt. Bye. Thanks. Stay safe and healthy.
I want to thank our students. They did an amazing job of preparing their presentations and sharing information with you today. So as I mentioned, those 5 core courses, and the students will have those for 90 minutes. Language arts will meet on a daily basis, and the other 4 classes meet every other day for 90 minutes. Some of our students will be taking challenge courses. That information was sent to you. You should have received that in the mail or through email, and with an opportunity to respond about the placement for your students for next year. Some other things to consider when looking at the challenge course load is that it doesn't have to be a miniature high school. This is really just time for our students to get exposure to lots of different content. When they add lots of increased workload, there comes some stress with that too. So there's plenty of time for our students to meet all those graduation requirements and to take the math and foreign language that they need for high school without stressing over it in middle school, though I know some of you will select that option. If your student requires some additional assistance, whether they have an IEP or a 504 plan, we will meet those expectations. Some ways that those expectations are met are through a resource class. Some students will receive support with some check-in and check-out, and speech and language services will continue. Unfortunately, we are not able to do the meet and greets that we are planning, but hopefully our case managers can reach out over the summer and make those connections with our families. I mentioned mentor time earlier. This is an opportunity for our faculty to build additional relationships with our students. They meet every Monday for 28 minutes, and it's a small group, and each one of the adults in the building has one. And there's lots of things that happen in there. We do our character education building during that time. Students work on their goal tracking, their goal setting. We do celebrations, there's competitions. There's lots of things that happen, and it turns out to be a great sort of homeroom for that group of students, and they build some positive relationships with each other and with the teacher. So your students probably learned about lots of exploratory classes. These are the 8 options of art, design, theater arts, French, Spanish, FACS, digital ignitions, and STEM explorations. If your student is not taking a year-long course, such as mixed choir, intermediate orchestra, or band, they will be taking all 8 of those courses that were listed on their previous screen. So this is what their sample schedule may look like. If they're a student that chose band, orchestra, or choir, they would have that for a year long, and then they would be taking the electives during their other class period. So this is an option where they would have band, orchestra, or choir at the top, and then they would have 4 of those other electives that were listed previously. And for the students that don't take band, orchestra, or choir, they will have all 8, and they'll have 4 during the first semester and 4 during the second semester, with them switching on the quarters. So we've already gone through the enrollment process. There was no need for you to do any online registration. We did it all through paper forms, and our counselors have all that information and are entering into the computer as we speak. Our students will be divided up on teams, blue, gold, and silver. They're same core group of teachers. There's 2 language arts. There's a math, science, and history teacher on each team. There's nothing different about the teams other than the color that they're labeled by. We divide students up by gender and race, and we try to balance their number of kids that are taking challenge classes and those that are not, just to keep a lot of variety on each team. And they'll change each year just to make sure that they're getting to meet lots of new students. So there's some other ways that you'll get more information. We wish that you will stay informed. So make sure that you're checking your email. We'll be getting your email addresses from the elementary schools, and we'll be soon beginning to send that information directly from our middle school to you. Throughout the year, just make sure that you're staying connected through Infinite Campus, participating in our parent-teacher conferences, and checking with your student through Google Classroom. August 19th is going to be our ice cream social. That'll be our back-to-school event. We're assuming that we'll still be able to hold that, but if you want to put that on your calendar. And then the week before, on that Thursday and Friday, we'll have our web leader training in order to have our web orientation on August 17th, which is that Monday. We'll be excited to have all of our sixth graders in that building. It's their chance to get to meet some of their friends, get a tour of the building, participates in lots of fun activities, so mark your calendar for that. There will be updated information on our website and other messages that will be sent to you. A couple other reminders, just our school starts at 7:47, and we do not open a building until 7 o'clock. So if you're dropping off your students, you need to plan accordingly. Our buses will unload at 7:15, and then we'll let the students in then. But our building will not be open to anybody else until 7. Our school day ends at 2:39, and we ask that all of our students are picked up by 2:45. Eventually, once we have activities rolling, they will end at 3:40, and we ask that you pick up your student by 3:45 on those days. And that is typically on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Our students aren't allowed to carry their cell phones around school. We understand that you may want them to have that in their possession for their way to school and on the way home. But once they get to school, the expectation is that they are locked up and kept out of sight during the school day. If you need to reach your child, you can call the main office, and if they need to contact you, they can use one of the phones throughout the building. Each one of our students will have a locker. Students will need 2 locks, though, because they'll need one for their PE locker and one for their regular class or hallway locker. As you can notice, they are pretty skinny. If without a sense of organization, they can get messy really quickly. Our CPO sells a great organizer that fits directly into these lockers. That's going to be posted on our Parent Pay online if you would like to purchase one of those and have it ready for your son or daughter when school begins. All of our students will be issued a Chromebook. They'll get that in the first week of school. The expectation is that they bring their charger home and that they would charge it every night and that they bring it to school every day and that they'll need to bring it to each one of their classes. So they'll need to take ownership of that and treat it like it is their own and make sure that they're taking good care of their Chromebook. There's lots of activities for our students to get involved in. There are many things that are just fun things for our students to do. And then there's lots of activities that involve some contests, such as math, science, geography, or spelling bee. Students can get involved in those. There's other things that are connected directly to courses like band, orchestra, or choir, or related to PE with our track, volleyball, and cross-country events. I mentioned before about our activities. There is an activity bus that runs. It does not run all year. Sometimes the availability of that is varied depending on the availability of the buses. But when it is running, it is operating on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. There's only one bus. So in order for students to be able to ride that home, they have to make sure that they sign up. And all of our activity sign up is done through Google Forms that are linked to our Crestview webpage. Students can easily access that, but if you want your son or daughter to ride that activity bus home, they have to definitely make sure that they sign up so that we know that they have a seat. I know that's lots of information, and unfortunately we're not able to do a lot of this face-to-face. You're welcome to call. The voicemails will get to us and we can return them. If you would like, or you have some other questions, you can easily just reach out to me at jansongary@rsdmo.org. Thank you for viewing our video. We really appreciate your time and wanting to know more about Crestview Middle School, and we are certainly excited about working with your son or daughter next year. Have a great day.